Yeah. Hi there, this is John Bishop. I'm here with my very good friend, Dr. Nancy Flournoy, and I got my friend Philip and Don on tonight, and we are going to jump into another LifeWave, a deep dive LifeWave patch webinar, which tonight is going to highlight the Alavida patch and also the Alavida trio, right? The rejuvenating, I think they call it the rejuvenating trio with the day and night cream. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy. I'll make sure that you can share your screen. And
thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
I must say that I think I've got the right one here. Okay, do you see my PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can see that loud and clear.
Okay, let me I'm looking for the, oh, here it is, sorry. So I want to start out by saying how very excited I am about, well, not only this patch, but it's cumulative. I mean, the research that I do to kind of trace down the leads that the CEO from LifeWave gives us, the little tidbits he throws out. There is so much that has been learned about in the last 30, 40 years since I was in college about how the body works, and there's so much that's still left to be known. So my degree is in biomathematics, and I spent my career doing experimental design statistics for clinical trials and developing methods for clinical trials. And so I've been around science my whole career, but I have not dived deeply into the biophysics, biochemistry, everything that has really advanced so remarkably over the last few decades. So tonight we're talking about the Alavida trio, LifeWave's combination. There's a sleeve, they call it, of patches, and 2 creams, a day cream and a night cream. And I'll tell you more about those as we go along. My website is lightpatchscience.com if you're interested in more information about me or about the LifeWave products. So just start by showing this one before and after pair of pictures, and you see the lines disappear, and you might say, well, you see so many things like this on where people are advertising their products. How do you know what to believe or what not to believe? And so yes, it looks great, but what should you really be impressed or not be impressed by? And so I'll just point out that there's lots of pictures like this, before and after pictures, at this website that LifeWave has created just for this set of products called myalavida.com. And it's a lovely website, but we want to go deeper. We want to see what is really happening with the patches. So it's an exploration. I want to go back to the beginning. This is David Schmidt, the CEO here in his lab coat at the lab, and he did this. He took advantage of phototherapy. He took advantage of our body producing heat and light, and designed these patches to use our body to power the transmission back into our body of certain light frequencies. And those light frequencies are specific to target specific cells. And Each patch is designed to increase a particular product that has to do with our metabolism. And in the case of the Alavida patch, it was just this last September that David gave a talk and let it be known to me, that he's probably told other people, but it's the first time I had heard that the target of the Alavida patch is a peptide called Epithalamin. Well, it goes by, so Epithalamin, I believe, is the proper name of the peptide in the body. Then we'll see it a little bit later. There is a scientist who's produced this commercially as a supplement, and there are 3 different varieties and 3 different names, and it was not so easy for me to sort out 4 items in the literature because they were often used interchangeably. So I will use these 2 terms probably interchangeably in this talk. So what is this? Well, first we find out that it's produced in the pineal gland. So just to remind you, we've in previous talks here, we've spent a lot of time talking about the hypothalamus, and we talked about the 2 little bulges that look like testicles hanging off of it, the pituitary, and some of the patches have targeted specific things going on in these 2 structures of the brain. The pineal gland is this little purple dot back here, and it is been known for thousands of years as the 3rd eye. So it does a lot of things, but one of the things it does is make this peptide. Okay, so first, before we talk about that peptide in particular, let's talk a little bit about peptides in general. This is Vladimir Kavinsin. He's in St. Petersburg, and he runs a scientific group studying aging and gerontology. And he was just a real find. It's a real delight to have come across his work. And so I'm going to show a number of slides that sort of derive from his website. So first thing is to recognize that bioregulation functions through cells, and they selectively transmit information during interactions now between systems. We're talking about the immune system, the nervous system, the endocrine system, and all these systems. And when the organism is in a pathological state, the information, the transmission process between all these systems is disrupted. So it's kind of everything can go haywire when anything goes haywire. And so one of the things that happens when the information process is disrupted is that these peptides that are designed to carry information are carrying distorted information. And so they don't help, they hurt. Now, if one introduces a good peptide into the body, that's going to contribute to the body getting better. And that's particular, this particular scientist has developed a whole line of, a whole batch of supplements based on different peptides. So peptides are really his thing. And he's focused on using the peptides as anti-aging tools. So with that kind of as background, we'll look at the target of the Alavida patch. Now, this was a little bit difficult to trace the history here too, because I believe in David's talk, he gave Vladimir Kavinson credit for the discovery of this peptide. And then I found various documents that said that it was Vladimir Anisimov who found it, and that Vladimir Kavinson is the one that really popularized it with his synthetic versions. So they're both in St. Petersburg area, and as I mentioned, there are now 3 different synthetic versions made from the pineal gland of cattle. So you can imagine what that takes to produce those products. And the synthetic versions, 2 of the 3 involve injections, really kind of a major deal to get the benefit from these products. Certainly a lot more complicated than putting on a patch. So this particular peptide is very short. And because it's very short, it can just go right into a cell membrane and actually into the nucleus. And it can do that without any complex machinery helping it. There's a lot of materials that have to go in and out of the cells. And a lot of materials that go in and out of the cells have this whole complex set of machinery to make that happen. But this particular epithalamin it just goes in and out easily. And once it's in the nucleus, then it actually can affect the regulation of genes. And it can turn some on, turn some off, and cause big changes in the cell. Now, one of the reasons this is so exciting is that, like so many of these patches, David Schmidt targets really fundamental molecules. And invariably, we find that these molecules do a lot more than whatever is the specific function that he decides to target when he markets the patch. So we have a patch which is marketed for skincare. It really, sort of targets the beauty industry. But we'll spend a few minutes before we get to skincare seeing that he had a choice. He could have gone a number of different ways in terms of choosing how to market this product. And so it's as with virtually all his other patches, they're a much bigger deal than you would expect from the marketing. I guess that's the way to say it. So first, let's talk about Epithalamin Sleep. Well, we talked in the Silent Night patch targets melatonin, but when we talked about the Silent Night patch, we talked about the regulation of circadian rhythms and how important that was. And it turns out that this little AEDG peptide, which breaks off the epithalamin peptide, regulates the synthesis of melatonin. So you don't get melatonin without epithalamin. So you can see here I'm using, this is the same thing as this, so I apologize for that. So this little table here shows a study of, in this case, 60 to 74-year-olds who treated with the preparation of the pineal gland, and it shows how the melatonin levels increased before and after their treatment, more than doubling. So the Alavida patch is going to help you sleep better, help you be with all the benefits that comes with that. And Of course, if you're sleeping better, you're going to be prettier just from that a bit. This is also about melatonin. This is in monkeys, and the blue is placebo, and the red is the epithalamin. And you can see, well, if you're really young, it didn't, there was no noticeable effect. But by the time you're 20 to 26 years old, the peptide gives you a whole boost of melatonin in your blood at 3 in the afternoon. Okay, so epithalamin is also important for the immune system. And it interacts with a particular gene that's very important in interferons, particularly important with viral infections, countering viral infections. So it boosts what are called T cells, very important for the immune system, and you're going to be healthier without getting too much in the weeds in these in each of these. So it normalizes the endocrine system. So the endocrine system is this whole collection of glands throughout the body that produce hormones that are released into the bloodstream and then go around and regulate our bodies. And this epithalamin is well, it says balance. I mean, it normalizes the endocrine system and keeps things harmonious. There's studies with cancer control. And so here we have, this is in rats. These are rats that have been essentially given cancer. They're bred to get cancer. And so you have a substantial reduction in the incidence of these cancers when you're using the peptide. Then one of David Schmidt's favorite topic is longevity. And it turns out that epithalamin has a measurable effect on telomere length. Now I'll show you in the next slide, remind you what a telomere is, but you want them to be long, and this is demonstrated in the 45 to 65-year-old age group. They haven't studied the others, that the telomere lengths stay longer with epithelium, and also that they overcome the Hayflick limit. And I'll remind you what that is. So I'll remind you what it is specifically, but it has to do with how many times cells are going to divide before they just quit. And in particular, with fibroblasts, which are the cells that produce collagen, which is largely what our skin is made of, the number of divisions a cell could do increased by 42%. And the length of the telomere increased almost 2.5-fold. So here's a chromosome to tell you what a telomere is again. And the telomere is this little cap at the end. And you start out with a cell and it divides, and a little bit of that cap shaved off. And then the cell divides again and the caps are a little shorter. And they keep dividing, and pretty soon there's no cap left, and then the cell is essentially dead. Your body has to go clean it out of the way because it's never going to divide. That population of cells is not going to divide anymore. So that is the role of the telomere, and there's a lot of anti-aging work being done on how to keep your telomeres long and healthy. And I'm going to skip this one. It is connected to what's called Hayflick's limit. Hayflick's is a man, and he looks at these, he looked at these divisions in these doubling times, and you have cell division, starting off slow, and then you get a lot of it, and then it basically stops. And the cells you start out with in the fetus, the fetal cells, they're going to divide about 40 to 60 times before they quit. And that is essentially equivalent to a human lifespan of 120 years. And so you hear a lot of people talking about this 120 years limit, and is it a real limit, or can we push the limit? And so the Russian scientists are saying we can push the limit. That will be exciting. Here's a picture of the peptide and longevity. If you look at the picture over here on the right, you have elderly patients, and without the peptide, they were studied for 15 years here, and so they all start out alive at the beginning of the study, and they're down to 40% are alive. This is in like 1992, about 1992, and by 2007, only 40% are alive, whereas the ones that have been given the peptide, 70% are alive 15 years later. So that's the concrete clinical evidence that it directly affects longevity. So now let's turn a little bit to the skin, because this is the way that the patch is marketed. So it's going to activate the cellular repair process. And I already mentioned that it can go right into the cell. And in the cell, with respect to skin, it activates the fibroblasts. And those are the cells that are responsible for repairing and maintaining the extracellular matrix. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So it causes the numbers of fibroblasts to increase by 35 to 45%. And we want that. That's good. So fibroblasts, what do we care about the fibroblasts? Well, we just mentioned they synthesize the extracellular matrix. They also synthesize collagen. And collagen's the most abundant protein in the whole body. Collagen is the main tissue that is structural, that is like a scaffolding for the cell itself, each cell individually, not to mention things like our skin. And the extracellular matrix, collagen is just a piece of it. The extracellular matrix includes sort of all of the things that are hanging out around the cells that lead to our being able to function and live. So collagen makes up the internal framework. So as with many other things we've seen, collagen decreases with age. So those of us who are older, and I'm about right here, so my production of my collagen compared to when I was young, it's at about 35%, except I've been using patches. So of course my collagen's got to be better than that. You can lose collagen faster if you smoke, you have sun pollution or a poor diet. It is the most abundant protein in the body, so we care a lot about that. It's 90% of our connective tissue, 90% of our bone. So now here is an interesting point. So collagen forms the bulk of connective tissues. Okay, so we've sort of said that. But what kind of connective tissues? Tissues that are associated with bound water. and ions to produce a hydrated state. Okay, so that's a mouthful, but we all hear a lot about the value of hydration these days. And so what we're seeing here is this link between having collagen and being hydrated. So you don't get hydrated just by drinking a lot of water. You know, if you drink a lot of water, you may just pass through very quickly and it never becomes part of your system. You want the water to be bound up and working for you. And here's a picture of what that looks like. So they talk about water bridges. So the collagen is has these strands, and then you see these little molecules that kind of start reaching out from each strand. And when over here on the right, you can see that the collagen from one strand actually connects to the collagen from another strand. So this is, these are different kinds of bridges. And the picture on the left shows it as well. You have the two collagen strands are colored, and this white in the middle are the bridges. And the bridges holding the collagen together are water. So water is I don't know, I mean, I always thought of it in the chemistry end of things, that you needed water to have chemical reactions. I had not, before finding this material, I did not realize that water was so important as a structural component in our bodies. So we want to have good collagen, and we want to have good bridges between our collagen. And here's just another picture of what it looks like to have these chains linked. You start out with a chain, and it has this little kind of piece hanging off of it, and another piece hanging off of the one below. And you have a few reactions, and you get down to the bottom, and you have the two that are tightly linked together. So this writer, Mei-Wan Ho, talks about water being the means, the medium, and the message of life. And certainly there's lots of deep philosophers that talk about water in very deep ways. But his description is physics. That is, it's still like metaphysical because it's hard to get your mind around, but if he talks about water being quantum coherent. And I mean, that, you know, sends you to the dictionary, like, what does that mean? And coherence is atoms vibrating in phase, choirs singing in harmony, you know, somebody hitting the tuning fork and everything's going together, which is the way the LifeWave patches transmit frequencies into our body to resonate with a particular molecule. So what's quantum coherence is a situation where the wave property is split in two, and then the two waves are coherent with each other. So I'm not going to dive much deeper into this, but it is a very interesting line of inquiry. Oh, well, I should say that if we follow this argument down a little bit, what we get here so liquids can be crystals. The patch that the LifeWave patch is a liquid crystal that's painted on the patch, but our collagen is also sort of a liquid crystal with all the liquid connections, bridges. So in a liquid crystalline configuration that enables enzymes and nucleic acids to function as quantum molecular machines, that transform and transfer energy at close to 100% efficiency. Now, you know, this is the kind of stuff of science fiction books, except the quantum computers are now being built and used, and Tesla ran experiments to show that one could do things very, very, very efficiently. So this just sort of takes us into a realm of possibilities for the future that I think we will maybe understand 30 or 40 years from now. But they're very, very interesting. So collagen combines with water, and so not only we get the water, we get the structure, but we get electricity with it. So with the water and the collagen, set up a electrically conductive continuum, and it goes through all the bodies. So as soon, you know, that's why, you know, you can do something on one part of your body and another part of your body is going to get the message. So this is a whole communication system, pretty much independent of the nerves. I mean, we all learn about the nerves as a communication system, but collagen, our skin, is also a full-fledged operating communication system on our body. So it has electrical properties that are both piezoelectric and pyroelectric. I'll show you a picture of that on the next slide. And the LifeWave patches have been established, it has been established that they increase the electrical conductivity of acupuncture points, which are in the skin collagen framework, and the regions around it. So, so this is the system within which the patch is functioning. And let's look at, first we'll just say that the body has a big bioelectrical system, and the proteins, including collagen, are semiconducting, and they use this electricity to move energy from one location to another. And of course, we really, you know, want to be able to lift up our arm when we want to lift up our arm. So we want to get energy where we want it, when we want it. So here's just the couple of pictures on these two properties, piezoelectric and pyroelectric. Look at the pyroelectric first. You know, pyro, people know what a pyro is. That's basically fire, right? So you can get electricity. If you have a battery and you heat it up, you can get electricity and you can turn on your light bulb with it. It converts temperature to electric current and vice versa. The piezoelectric, that's applying force, mechanical stress. And so if you think of your battery that's not under any stress, you have your positive and negative ions lined up on either side and they're equal. So nothing is going around the current, there's no current going around the, because like this is a wire. But if you provide force, if you squeeze if you squeeze this, say, battery into like half the size, then the force creates a current and then you have electricity going around. So our collagen uses both of these kinds of, has both of these properties that can do, it can create electricity in both ways. So let's get back to the skin. We have on the left kind of a little, you know, it looks like a cake, something you're going to get a pettifor, you know, you're going to have it with your tea. The top layer is called the epidermis, the middle, the dermis, and then you have the subcutaneous layer below that. And so the dermis, the middle layer, is the one with the most collagen in it. And it has, it's thick, it's fibrous, it has some elastin in it, which is going to make it nice and stretchy. This blow up picture shows you how busy everything is in the skin. So in this blow up picture, just the top little layer is the epidermis on top, and it also has collagen in it. But you see, you have the hair follicles, you have veins and arteries coming in and out of here. You have nerves coming in. You have all kinds of work being done right in your skin. And this is just a picture then of the epidermis itself. This is a nice healthy one. And the epidermis is going to help optimize, assuming it's healthy, it's going to protect you, but it also optimizes secretion, absorption, excretion, filtration, diffusion, and sensory reception. And not just for the skin. This is the tissue that lines all your blood vessels. It's lines all your organs. And so in the case of an organ, it plays a major role in things getting in and out that need to go in and out. So this is a picture. Here we have the endothelium depicted as it would be on the wall of a blood vessel. And up here is the inside of the blood vessel. And this says shear stress. So you can imagine the blood going from left to right. And you have these antenna-like things that are getting blown in the wind, or like seaweed blown in the water or in the blood. And all of these molecules that are floating around, sodium and other things, where they're needed, they need to be able to get down to the epithelium and get across. And that's a whole big process that's just absolutely miraculous. So the epithelial cells are very, very important. I'm going to skip this slide, I think.
Hold on.
And now I'll turn to the LifeWave products themselves. So what we did is we talked about, we have learned what frequency, that the Alavida patch is tuned to, what it resonates with, and so what the objective was in terms of putting on the patch. And so we talked about what that target cell does, and now we'll talk about what we actually know about what the LifeWave products do. And I mentioned two websites here. One is myalavida.com, and that's a very nice website by LifeWave that just focuses on these products, the LifeWave, the Alavida products. And then I have this website, which is lifewave.com/Nancy47. What I was focusing on here is the actual science section, which is where I got the information for the rest of the talk from these two websites. So if you see this pretty turquoise color, that's from the LifeWave website, the myalavida.com. So let's talk about the lotions first, because they, David has made it easily accessible for us to see what all the ingredients are. And in particular, well, I'm not going to say, you got a day lotion and a night lotion, and they are, one's focused more on protection, the other's focused more on repair. And I'm not going to go into what the ingredients are, how they differ between those two. I'll talk in general that they are based on a microalgae oil that is very rich in the omega-3 fatty acid DHA. And so this oil is very good for skin elasticity. And before I go further, I should say David likes to tell the story that when he went out to try, so the idea is to work from the inside out and the outside in, and you take the patches and they're going to be doing things for you from the inside, and you take the lotions and they're doing things from the outside. And he found a chemist from Estee Lauder who ended up being the scientist who developed these products for David. So I don't know, Estee Lauder is certainly the product my mother uses. And it's very, very good product. And so he's done a very good job for David. And what David's request is that the ingredients mimic the composition of your skin. And so the products are really full of oil, but because it's the same composition essentially as your skin, they're not greasy. And so you're actually just getting fed, good versions of what you have. So these products have milk peptides, which boost your collagen and increase hyaluronic acid. And if you haven't heard that before, there's a lot of products out there for making things go smooth and working on your joints. And it's a very good product, very good acid to have a high production of. So reduces the appearance of lines and wrinkles, etc. Moringa butter helps repair and enhance your natural protective barrier and also locks in hydration. So that's good. And then we have vitamin C, which is a big antioxidant. And he claims that the one they have is 50 times better than just taking vitamin C. Rice bran oil has a lot of good oils, and rosemary extract is protective. It helps protect against free radical damage. So all of that is very good. It doesn't include any of the bad stuff. So we would not expect less. And now for the studies. So there have been, the lotions were tested by a company called Bioscreen Testing Service, Inc. And this is a company that tests sunscreen oils and things like that for different manufacturing companies. And there's a lot of details on myalavida.com if you want to see all the test results. I just mentioned the headlines here, which are that it increased skin hydration, improved firmness, improve the appearance of skin tone, reduce wrinkles and fine lines, and improve the quality of the skin. And on the web, it talks about what it was shown to do in what times and how often, and all of the details. Now, another study that was, this is now about the patches, the study that was done on the patches. And this study by Sherry Blake Greenberg and Homer Nazarin, it uses a piece of equipment called Electro Interstitial scans. And it's like an EKG. You can see you put a lead one place and you put another lead place and you measure the resistance between one place and another. And when you've done a number of combinations, then you can sort of extrapolate. You can fill in the blanks, interpolate. And so one thing, so it's not an EKG though, because it's going at a very low voltage. This is only 1 volt, and it's direct current. And so this is useful for the purposes that it's used, because a direct current will not actually go through a cell. And so what they're measuring is how easily the current will flow around and between the cells through the interstitial fluid. And this is where you want things to be moving, much more so than within the cell, because this is the fluid by which you're going to get all the nutrients and all the communications that need to go to the cell, to and from the cell. So, so this is by design. And when they were developing how to interpret the data from this machine, they took 600 healthy subjects and got data from them to provide a baseline, which is much more than many, you get the normal ranges when you go to the doctor, when you have any kind of labs done, and a lot of them are done on minuscule sample sizes compared to this in terms of what is normal. Okay, so so methods, they repeated the scans each week, and they had them use the patch for 5 consecutive nights, and they took 2 days off. And they did it for 30 days, and every subject served as their own control. And so the results, their hypothesis was that if you do the patches, the functional status of different organs as measured by this piece of equipment are going to improve. And they got statistically significant results. These are all the organs they evaluated from that set of tests, and everything was significantly improved except the intestines. So there you go. Now, the other thing that David will say is that the Alavida patch reduces oxidative stress. So I'll just remind you what that is. We have a free radical. You have your electrons spinning around the nucleus here, and you've got one that's not matched. It's all by itself. And so it needs an antioxidant to come around to give it a negative charge in order to make it stable. And if it's not stable, if it's running around with this negative charge, it's like having, taking one cable off your car battery and then, waving it randomly around in, at least it used to be metal and you'd have sparks flying. It's probably all plastic now, but you get the idea. And then oxidative stress is actually this process where these free radicals are ripping electrons away from all of these molecules that you really want to have whole and stable in your body. And so you don't want that to happen. Oxidative stress is not good. Now, LifeWave has purchased, they own this product called a biopulsar, and using that piece of equipment, you get images like this. What you actually get, this is also, it involves a lot of electrical leads, and you get a lot of numerical numbers in the big table. And then this picture is produced by interpolating those numbers and making them, making colors out of them so that you can visualize what's happening. And so for this particular man, this nice turquoise color is what you would like to have. And before this man put on the Alavida patch, he had all this resistance, which is the blue and the green. And after 5 minutes of having the patch on, his stress levels had dropped down to a good stage. The little purple that's here, it just reflects the fact that he's still thinking. And the little brown here is kind of like a null site where there's not a measurement. It's not a negative. So this is like a total recovery in 5 minutes. And this is a woman who was much worse off to start with. And after 5 minutes, she cleared up almost as completely. Now, the problem with this particular way of measuring things, of course, is that you just have a few individual observations, and it's not clear how you would combine the data to be able to make some general statements about a larger population. And so you have to take them, they're like the before and after pictures. You have to take them for what they are. A picture I should have had earlier gives you a little view of oxidative stress. So say you've just reduced your oxidative stress. What can you see you have done? I gave you the picture about the ions, and you needed the charges. You needed another negative charge, etc. But it also looks like this in terms of this piece of equipment. In that, on the left here, you had a bunch of cells, and on the left you have the electrical charge running through the fluid, and you can see it goes around the cells and starts at one end, comes out the other end. So those cells have normal oxygen levels. Now, when a cell has a depleted oxygen level, for one thing, they're bigger. And so they're bigger, there's not as much room for this, this charge to get through. Look at how light and thin that green line is compared to this one over here. So that is the electrical impedance that this piece of equipment is picking up. And you want to be able to get things to the cells when you want to get them to the cells. So that's good. Okay, so that is the information that I have on the research for these products. I have to say that LifeWave and I and everybody else makes no medical claims. These products are wellness products, and they're to support your health and well-being. If you have a big problem, you should go talk to your doctor. And with that, I will thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again on the first and third Fridays monthly. And again, this is the best website to reach me at, lightpatchscience.com. With that, I will turn it back over to John.
Thanks a lot, Nancy. Another amazing webinar. Thank you so much. I learned a lot tonight, and yeah, it's just I don't know.
Well, it's amazing what's out there. What's out there to learn.
Yeah, I mean, we're not taught this in schools. We're not taught, really what's the makeup of who we are, and
John, all of this was discovered since we were in school.
It was discovered, but I never heard anything. I'm sorry.
But you wouldn't have learned it in school. It didn't.
No, exactly. That's right. I would not have learned it in school.
So we're really fortunate to have this tool called Google now, where it's actually possible for me to do this. I mean, that's really miraculous.
That's true, but I feel that Google only goes so far.
Well, and you have to know how, you have to be careful how you use it. Yeah,
I think it opens the door, but unless somebody can actually explain it, who does all the research, I think I think a lot of people come up short because they don't have things really explained all the way. I mean, it's like, okay, where is this going to? I mean, how's this going to affect my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
We hear a lot, a lot about technical breakthroughs, medical breakthroughs and stuff like that. We hear all about that, but how is it going to affect me right now, today, where I am today? That's the thing that I think that hopefully we'll start to move in that direction from now. How is it going to help me today? How's it going to help me, my significant other, my kids, people in the future? Is there, kind of a revolution happening that, we're going into an age where we're really moving into a point where we can understand some things that we've never understood before, never understood about our own bodies, our own minds.
Oh, I think there's a lot of secrets yet to be uncovered.
Exactly.
The fact that we actually have these quantum energy machines in our skin.
Right.
It is, I can't wait to come to a place where I would think I understood what that means.
Right. So if anybody has any questions, please ask a question. Otherwise, we're gonna.
Hi, Virginia.
Hey, Virginia.
Good to
Hello.
see you.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm sorry I was late. I was over at Susan's house dropping the dog off.
Well, there'll be a recording. So
Good.
thank you for coming.
Mhm. It's always interesting.
It's been a lot of fun to do.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Don, good to see you or not to see you. Glad you're
Thank
here.
you.
Okay. Hey, everybody have a great weekend. Nancy and I are and Don are in the Seattle area. So we had a really nice day yesterday, but tomorrow it's back to, looks like rain showers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, we'll just deal with what we have to deal with in Washington State. But yeah.
Yeah, we're a lot more fortunate than a lot of other places in this country. So
A lot of people are asking for our rain. I'd love to just transport it over to them if I could, but yeah.
Send some my way.
Oh, where are you, Virginia?
San Jose, California,
Oh my goodness.
Drought City.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Beautiful weather, but be nice to have some rain.
it would, right? Exactly. Okay, well,
okay, thank you.
tonight, thank you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Next week, I'm doing a business webinar for anybody who's interested in the business side of LifeWave. There is that side of it as well. But most important thing is use these patches every day. That's what I've been doing for 2.5 years, and dang. And I feel like I feel like a different human being.
Yep.
I really do. I feel like God exists and he blessed me. He blessed me with this company. So it's just the way I feel. All righty. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Good night.
bye-bye.
Bye.